Outlining genres. Am I right? They all have their little tricks, their little ponies, their little needs, their necessities. But the hardest part is figuring out, am I giving this genre everything it needs? Am I missing something? Well, whether it's mystery, romance, fantasy, thrillers, each genre has a unique beats and expectations from their audience. Each genre has a style and specific need. So today, I'll show you how to tailor your outline to suit your genre, keeping your readers hooked to start to finish. And that's why today is going to be about oh, how to outline your how to outline for different genres, mysteries, romance, fantasy, and more. Now, just so you know in advance, this is not a real-time example video, but I will show you different elements that are necessary for specific genres. And before we even get started, there is a free file in the folder that is going to continuously be added to, but it will show you what is expected, tropes, and other elements that should be in different genres when you're writing out your list. But let's go right into it. Outlining with genre in mind. Outlining with genre in mind serves a foundation for building a compelling story while offering a unique framework that allows you to play with fresh and engaging ideas. Remember, here at The Right Mindset, it's about understanding, learning, and developing skills and tools so we can play with them. It's not always about, oh, well, you have to show, sometimes tell. Yeah, but how do you mess with that, right? How do you take something that is a skill of writing, a craft mechanism, whatever the case may be, and manipulate it so you can develop your style of writing? And also, that's how we advance the world of writing, right? Because if you look at novels that were written 100 years ago, they definitely don't feel or look or even work in the same way that novels today work. There are always going to be adjustments. So it's always best to understand what should be there. And then it's your job as a writer to figure out, how do I play and mess with these things? And the reason is because each genre, again, whether it's mystery, thrillers, romance, whatever the case may be, comes with its own set of expectations, tropes, and emotional beats. These conventions provide a helpful guide for shaping your story, but they are not meant to put you in a box. No, no. Instead, they are. They give you a starting point for innovation. I should wear my glasses. Anyway, as the saying goes, the more you know the rules, the better you can break them in ways that feel fresh and exciting for you as a writer and the readers themselves. Now, by understanding the specific turning points and beats that define a genre, you can then create a roadmap that aligns with readers' expectations while still allowing you the freedom to explore your creative vision. Just because you need a happily ever after doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same as everyone else's happily ever. Understanding what that means for you gives you a chance to creatively develop a happily ever after. But for instance, when you're thinking of a mystery story, they often hinge on the inciting crime and red herrings, which guide the protagonist and the reader through a maze of clues and misdirections. Did they or did they not? Romance stories, on the other hand, focus on moments of emotional connection and conflict, like the classic meet cute or the inevitable misunderstanding. As an example, I'm not a fan of the misunderstanding. So if I was going to write romance, I know that I need them to have a moment where they are kind of put into a situation where they are questioning the situation. But since I like clear communication as part of my voice as a writer, I like to show healthy relationships, even if there are fights, disagreements, or mismanaged moments. That's all part of the growth of a healthy relationship. But instead of just misunderstanding, I might say, how do I turn this considerable moment into something else with the same outcome? How do I get them to be mad or upset at each other, or maybe even potentially not make it as a relationship so they can come back and have their happily ever after? So there are different ways you could do that, right? But and finally, fantasy. I'm an epic fantasy guy. So world building is really a huge part of epic fantasy. Extraordinary elements like magic, things like that, and also sending up a sense of wonder and potential adventure. I like to also add deep character development. and moral quandaries, as well as exploring personal themes. Oh, yeah, soda. When you approach your outline with these genre specific elements in mind, you're not just following a formula. You're crafting a story that connects with readers and the genre's expectations on the audience itself while leaving plenty of room for your unique voice as a writer. You can always, without a doubt, twist familiar tropes in new ways, and I recommend that because tropes can become sort of cliches, but if you know how to turn it into something you want, it becomes your voice, right? So by doing that, by twisting it and adding your little your voice to it, it surprises readers while still giving them what they came for. Everyone who reads a romantic novel wants their happily ever after. They want that first kiss. They want that love moment. They want that meet cute. These are important things that they're looking for. That's why they bought a romance novel. But that doesn't mean it has to look and sound like everybody else's, right? So, outlining by genre gives you a structure that supports experimentation so you can innovate confidently, knowing you're building a story that both honors and transcends the genre. Sorry. This approach ultimately enriches your storytelling and makes your narrative more engaging and hopefully memorable. One helpful tip. A great way to strengthen your outline is by highlighting genre specific turning points, which can help you stay true to the genre while showcasing your unique voice. Now, for example, in mystery, plot points like the inciting incident, red herring, and the big reveal are crucial, right? But in a romance, you want to emphasize moments like the meet cute, the first kiss, etc., etc. So by focusing on these turning points as you outline, you can ensure your story meets reader expectation. But you also want to give yourself creative space for what kind of red herrings are you presenting? Are you presenting cliche red herrings, or are you adding a little bit more touch to it? Right. This is there are certain films I like that M. Night Shyamalan does. I'm not a fan of M. Night because I do not like the way I consider myself a fan of something is if I like the majority of their works, right? So if I don't like the majority of their works, it doesn't mean I don't like some of their works. And with M. Night, I like some of his works. You know, Unbreakable, the Sixth Sense. But the thing is, at a certain point, you're like, it's the plants. And the reason is because his twist has become tropey or cliche. So if you were going to write with the M. Night Shyamalan kind of style, you have to say to yourself, well, how do I make it not plants? And then have Mark Wahlberg talk to a plastic plant and say, please, I'm sorry, don't hurt us, right? You have to put a little thought into it. You know what I'm saying? A little thought. Let's get into, oh yeah, genre expectations, tropes, and emotional beats. Now, every genre has its own requirements, as I had presented in the beginning of this lesson. When readers come in and they expect certain elements, tropes, and emotional beats. So, again, as a reminder, I do have a sheet available for free in the folder. As all those sheets, I try to periodically update them as new ideas come in. I change my points of views based on new information, etc. If I learn new things, I try to keep up on them. They are dated. So with that said, you can go and check that out. Right now, we're going to sort of look at it in general. So here we go. Share the screen. Get your eyes on the screen. Boop. There you go. Thriller. Now, these are not all the expectations, tropes, or emotional beats within a thriller. However, on the sheet, I will have as many as I possibly can discover in my research, what I know of them, etc. So for now, let's look at the first one. High stakes. You need those high stakes, my friend. High stakes are very important. They help ultimately deliver something of importance. And it's your job to say, well, how do I get these high stakes in, Thomas? I need the high stakes. And I go, everybody needs high stakes. But in reality, uh, thriller novels, the reason they have the high stakes is because readers want an intense exploration of the protagonist, offering that life or death situations, maybe they prevent a significant catastrophe, you know, um, The higher the stakes, the stronger the thriller is. It creates something that keeps you on your toes, and that's the whole point of a thriller, is really to keep you on your toes and go, "Oh, what's next?" All right, pace and urgency. Oh my god, pace is so important. So is urgency. You know, Fast-paced, adrenaline-driven narratives are a real selling point. Um, boop, wait, can I come over here? I'll come over here. They're a strong selling point for thrillers in general. But they also, you have to maintain consistency with obstacles, this how they solve the obstacles, how the obstacles slow them down. And you also want to have a sense of urgency. You don't want them figuring everything out and pushing through it with ease. Escalating tension. Boop. There it is. Escalating tension. Now this is more like the story should have absolutely a sense of a rising tension. Now, in a regular narrative, like if you're just going with a traditional general narrative, the first act doesn't necessarily have to have high stakes tension. It can, but it usually starts on a status quo with the ordinary world, and there's like an inciting incident, kind of pushbacks on that ordinary world, and then while that ordinary world is changing, that's where the stakes kind of develop and increase. But it's the second act where it almost feels like it doubled, right? So the tensions slowly increase to the midpoint conflict, to the point where it's like, oh, point of no return. We can't do anything about this. We have to find a solution. The truth of the lie is revealed, and they're going to go down trying to find a solution and think, oh, maybe I could get out of here. And then that leads you to the act three, which really just amplifies the tension, or should, the tension, stakes, and urgency to another level, right? So in a thriller, you kind of constantly want that movement of the escalating tension. You always want them to feel like it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Tropes. We're not at tropes yet, but unexpected, unpredictable twists. Ooh, what a twist! Uh, oh my god! If I die, please call 911. Even though this video is pre-recorded, we should be good. Thrillers often involve unexpected twists and turns, surprising. There's betrayals, shocking reveals. I think Dan Brown would be considered like a thriller. And in that sense, we learn that, spoiler alert, one of his friends is a enemy, and there's a betrayal element to it. So, and he's always getting pushed further and further into the elements. Fun fact: I have an outlining video that kind of breaks down the Da Vinci Code. All right, moving on to tropies. Tropies. A race against time. Now, the protagonist must accomplish something crucial within a limited time frame. This is also known as setting the timer, or the bomb has been, the timer has been set, the bomb has been set. We got to save the kidnapper. The person who was kidnapped is going to die if we don't get there. So those are important. Another trope that is pretty consistent in thrillers is this conspiracy. There's a conspiracy. So Dan Brown has a conspiracy, right? It has to do with Da Vinci's Code, and the paintings of Da Vinci's works, and things like that. every man hero. Another thing that's important, hey, listen, sometimes we don't need Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right. We don't need the Arnold Schwarzenegger to get to the chopper. All right. We just need, Tom Schmo, me, just kind of walking around going, hey, I got this. Because it allows us to feel like we're a part of this. And in thrillers, they don't always have to be superheroes. They don't have to be Tom Cruise running every 10 seconds. That's all I'm saying. But it's nice to see an ordinary person who gets caught up in the extraordinary. It's just also, you need the untrustworthy. So this also kind of goes along with the unpredictable twists. Can you trust them or not? Anyway, all right, emotional beats. Let me just do all four of them. Boom. So you definitely need an inciting incident, which kind of sets it off and changes the element of the thriller into something like, oh, this is for real, right? There has to be that reluctance or disbelief, like this is crazy, right? And in Dan Brown, I believe the professor, Mr. Tom Hanks, he in Da Vinci Code, he's like, I don't know if I wanted to take on this case. And then ultimately he discovers a threat, and then the rising tension as he gets tossed into the inevitable insanity of what's known as the Da Vinci Code. Now, I have romance on here and stuff too, but let's just keep the video kind of moving. Everything is in that file, so just enjoy that file. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Oh, potential pitfalls. All right. So, potential pitfalls, revealing too much too soon. One of the biggest challenges with outlining anything, mystery or otherwise, is avoiding the temptation to reveal too much up front. Well, it might be tempting to map out every secret and be like, ooh, let's get the twists in and things like that. It's about allowing the plot of the narrative to breathe so the story can unfold in a timely manner. Remember that the purpose of an outline is to guide the story, not to spill it out on the page, okay? And when I say guide the story, I mean the plot allows you to understand where it's going so the story can play within those beats, right? And a lot of times, especially newer authors or authors who aren't very familiar with the industry itself or the standards of certain styles, they'd be like, oh, if the reader knows all this information, it'll be better. But that becomes an exposition dump, or maybe you're revealing things too soon. There is a pacing reality. So if something is revealed too soon, it will destroy the payoff. So you have to learn how to slowly and meticulously involve the growth of a plot and its story. So, and this is why you should use the outline to strategically place and insert certain things, seed elements to earn that, and also character development. More importantly, with certain genres, you want to foreshadow things, if not with all genres. It's good to foreshadow things. I wish I could meet somebody in the sciences, and then they meet somebody who's in the sciences, right? That's also a promise. All right. This is something that irks me when I'm developmental editing. Why are you not developing your characters? They need to grow. Well, they could be static, but they still need to have some sort of. I want to know who they are. If they're going to be static and there's no arc for that character, I still want them to have character, right? So sometimes when you're rushing through an outline, you're like, oh, well, a thriller needs high stakes. It needs red herrings. It needs this. It needs that, right? Sometimes when outlining these things or even pantsing them, the writers usually are focused on just sort of like, what does this genre need? But in reality, you got to keep the characters real too, and have them on the page. So in a rush to construct a plot full of twists and red herrings, world building, etc., it's easy to lose sight of one of the most important elements of great storytelling, and that is character development. And again, a character can be static, have a static arc, but still be developed, because all character development is creating a three-dimensional character on the page through their choices, their positions, their challenges, and ultimately what they do or do not do and say and do not say. So without a compelling protagonist, even the most intricate plot can fall flat. The protagonist's personnel, stakes, and motivations are what make readers care about the outcome. They're driven by how the characters behave. You want them to root for the character in a sense. Doesn't they need to be likable, right? You hear that often, but no, but really, you have to be like, is this character real? Are they doing things, even if they're stupid things? Like, are they making stupid choices? Like I'm in because it makes sense. I may have made that choice. This is a difficult situation. They're fighting aliens. Crazy. Anyway, but how does the journey affect them emotionally or morally? These are important questions you have to be asking yourself. And an effective outline should consider not just what happens, but also why it matters to the characters involved. Ensure your outline highlights moments of character growth, particularly in response to challenges they face against not only their positions, but their choices. This adds to the story and also helps the readers invest into the narrative plot. Oh, yeah. Now, last but not least, 4 potential pitfalls losing focus of core story. While outlining can be a powerful tool for organizing complex plot points, as we all know, I love the outline, but I don't think it's the only way. It's important not to let it overshadow the emotional core of the story. At its heart, a plot should be more than a series of things that happen, clues and revelations. It should explore themes, relationships, and the protagonist's inner journey. Why? Because if it is just plot unfolding on the page and it becomes a series of things that happen, it turns into things are happening, but nothing is happening. The is happening is through the characters' experiences, their choices, their challenges. It's the things that move them around on the page. If they have to go in a room for the room's sake, that is plot. So things are happening, but nothing is really happening. It's just, it was meant to happen, but no one's making choices. You need choices. Avoid overloading your outline with excess plot details that might detract from the core narrative. Instead, balance your plot points with scenes that develop into character motivations and emotional stakes. Don't only create a scene to be like, I need to show that my character's kind. If your character is kind, allow your character to be kind and then challenge that kindness. How much pushback do they need before they are not kind? Or do they stay kind? Are they somewhat kind? If you create a scene just to be like, I want to show my character's brave or my character's smart, you're going to take away from the truth. The truth is they are or they are not. They can't just be in a blink of an eye. So you have to create consistency when it comes to that. However, when I'm talking about balancing your plot points with scenes that develop into character motivations and emotional stakes, is if you're having plot happen too much too often, you need to say, all right, I need to start adding some scenes that allow characters to make more choices or pause it and allow characters kind of talk about their truths, things like that. You got to push back on characters sometimes, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, philosophically. So that's important, you know. All right, final thoughts, everybody. This is a short final thought. Outlines are there to guide you. I say it often. They're not there to confine you. Genre conventions provide a helpful framework. They shouldn't feel like rigid rules. Instead, use them as a foundation that gives you and your story structure and direction, while allowing plenty of room for creative inspiration to shine. Think of an outline as a roadmap. I have said it often. It shows you possible routes, but you still have the freedom to take detours, explore unexpected paths, or even change your destination entirely as new ideas emerge. I do this often when I use the Google Travel, or the Google Maps, or whatever. If it says to go this way, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know this neighborhood, I'm going to go that way, and then I have to turn around and get back. Anyway, by blending genre conventions with your unique voice, you're free to craft a story that feels fresh while still satisfying readers' expectations. The process of outlining is much more about discovery as it is about planning. Because I talk about this when it comes to outlining. I use outlining. I'm a heavy outliner, but I still allow myself to explore and discover through the outline. There is different. You could look at my process. I have a playlist that's dedicated to the process, and ultimately, I allow myself grand sweeps of the brush. And then as I work on the book, I kind of play with the micro elements of it. And that's what an outline is for. No matter if you're using genre expectations or not, remember, you can still play with things and move things around, etc., etc. Just because you write it down doesn't mean it has to say, "Oh, I wrote this. I can't change it. It's set in stone." Anyway, all I'm saying is whether you're a plotter, a pantser, or somewhere in between, this approach can enhance your writing process, enabling you to tell the story you want to tell while delivering an engaging experience for your readers. Next video in this series: outlining fails and how to fix them. I'll be sharing common outline mistakes and offer solutions to get writers back on track. Yeah. All right. Question: how crazy? Okay. What genre specific plot point or convention do you find most challenging to outline? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas. And so would other people. They'd be like, oh, I'm not alone. These people are the same. Me. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. And if you really like what you see, do one of these. I mean, beep, hit the like. like it. It helps. It helps me so much. It helps me so much. As always, truth in action, peace in harmony, and keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.